The Zephyrian war fleet hung in space like a collection of obsidian daggers, their bioluminescent hulls pulsing with malevolent intent. Admiral Kethvar stood on the bridge of his flagship, his 4 arms crossed in a gesture of supreme confidence. The human colony ship Perseverance drifted helplessly before them, its engines dark and life support failing. "Pathetic creatures," Kethvar hissed through his translator, his serpentine features twisted in disgust. "They call themselves warriors, yet they flee at the first sign of true combat." The Zephyrians had been the apex predators of their sector for 3 millennia. Their warrior culture demanded that all conflicts be settled through ritual combat, champion against champion, with the losing species surrendering their territory and resources. It was a system that had served them well. No species had ever emerged victorious from their dueling grounds. "Open a channel to the human vessel," Kethvar commanded, his mandibles clicking with anticipation. The view screen flickered to life, revealing the bridge of the human ship. Captain Sarah Chen stood at the center, her uniform wrinkled and her face streaked with sweat. Behind her, the bridge crew worked frantically at damaged consoles, sparks flying from overloaded systems. "Human captain," Kethvar's voice boomed across the void. "Your pathetic attempt at resistance has failed. By the ancient laws of war, I demand single combat. Choose your greatest warrior or watch your people perish in the cold of space." Chen's jaw tightened. She glanced around her bridge, taking in the faces of her crew, scientists, engineers, civilians fleeing the outer colonies. They had no military aboard, no trained soldiers, no champions bred for war. "How long do we have to decide?" she asked, her voice steady despite the circumstances. "1 of your hours," Kethvar replied, relishing the despair he expected to see. "Choose wisely, human. My champion has never known defeat." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Chen closed her eyes, running through their options. They had no weapons that could penetrate Zephyrian shields, no escape route, no reinforcements coming. The duel was their only chance. "Captain," came a voice from the back of the bridge. Everyone turned to see Dr. Marcus Webb, the ship's xenobiologist, stepping forward. He was an unremarkable man in his 50s, soft around the middle with graying, hair and laugh lines around his eyes. His specialization was in studying alien ecosystems and behavior patterns. "Dr. Webb," Chen began, "this isn't the time for—" "I'll do it," he said simply, that strange smile already beginning to form at the corners of his mouth. "I'll be our champion." The bridge erupted in protests. Webb was a scholar, not a warrior. He'd spent his career studying alien life forms, not fighting them. But there was something in his eyes, a gleam that none of them had seen before. "Marcus, you can't be serious." Dr. Lisa Park, the ship's chief medical officer, stepped toward him. "The Zephyrian champion is probably 7 feet tall and trained from birth to kill." Webb's smile widened, and for the first time, Chen felt a chill run down her spine. "That's exactly why it has to be me," he said softly. "I know them. I've studied their culture, their psychology, their biology. I know something they don't." An hour later, the 2 ships faced each other across a kilometer of empty space. The dueling chamber, a transparent sphere 50 meters in diameter, materialized between them, created by Zephyrian technology. Webb floated inside, wearing only a standard EVA suit and carrying what appeared to be a simple vibro knife from the ship's toolkit. Across from him materialized Gorthnak, the Zephyrian champion. The creature was magnificent and terrifying, 3 meters tall, covered in chitinous armor that had grown naturally from his exoskeleton, with 4 arms ending in razor-sharp claws and mandibles that could snap a man in half. On both ships, crews watched in horrified fascination as the 2 figures faced each other in the chamber's artificial gravity field. "Your champion is brave to face death with such composure," Kethvar commented to Captain Chen over the comm. "I will make his end quick." But Chen was watching Webb's face through her binoculars, and what she saw there made her blood run cold. The doctor wasn't afraid. If anything, his smile had grown wider, more genuine, and somehow infinitely more unsettling. The duel began. Gorthnak moved with the fluid grace of a born predator, his 4 arms weaving a pattern of death as he closed the distance. But Webb didn't run. Instead, he did something that froze every Zephyrian on their ship in confusion. He laughed. It started as a chuckle, then grew into full, rich laughter that echoed through the chamber's comm system. Webb began to move, not with the trained precision of a warrior, but with something far more disturbing: the unhurried confidence of someone who knew exactly how this would end. Gorthnak's first strike should have ended it. His claws raked the space where Webb had been standing, but the human had moved at the last possible second, not away from the attack, but into it, sliding under the champion's guard and drawing his small blade across an almost invisible seam in the chitinous armor. The cut was tiny, barely a scratch, but Gorthnak stumbled. Webb danced away, still laughing, still smiling that terrible smile. "Impossible," Kethvar hissed. "No alien knows our anatomy well enough to—" Another strike, another miss, another precise cut. This time, Gorthnak's left arm spasmed and fell, limp. Webb had severed a nerve cluster that no non-Zephyrian should have even known existed. The human began to speak as he moved, his voice carrying clearly through the comm system. "You know what I love about predator species?" he said conversationally, casually avoiding a desperate lunge. "You're so confident in your physical superiority that you never bother to truly understand your prey." Another cut, and Gorthnak's legs began to fail him. The champion was still dangerous, still trying to fight, but his body was betraying him as Webb systematically severed nerve pathways with surgical precision. "Humans, on the other hand," Webb continued, his smile never wavering, "we're persistence hunters. We don't win by being stronger or faster. We win by being smarter, more patient, and absolutely relentless in our pursuit of knowledge." The final cut was almost gentle, a small incision at the base of Gorthnak's skull that severed the connection between his brain and his body. The mighty champion collapsed, paralyzed but alive, his eyes wide with terror as he stared up at the small, smiling human standing over him. Webb knelt beside the fallen warrior, his voice dropping to a whisper that somehow carried across both ships. "I've spent 20 years studying your species. Every weakness, every vulnerability, every secret your biology holds. Did you really think I would step into this chamber without knowing exactly how to unmake you?" The silence that followed was deafening. On the Zephyrian flagship, Admiral Kethvar stared at the view screen in horror. His undefeated champion lay motionless, defeated not by superior strength or speed, but by knowledge wielded with surgical precision. Webb stood slowly, still wearing that terrifying smile, and looked directly at the Zephyrian ship. "By your own laws, we've won. But here's what's going to happen next. You're going to let us go, and you're going to spread the word to every Zephyrian fleet in this sector. Humans don't just fight with muscle and bone. We fight with our minds. And that makes us the most dangerous predators you've ever encountered," He paused, his smile growing impossibly wider. Sweet dreams. The Zephyrian fleet departed within the hour, their running lights disappearing into the cosmic dark. They left behind only a message that would spread throughout their empire. The humans were not to be challenged to single combat. Ever. On the bridge of the Perseverance, Captain Chen found herself staring at Dr. Webb as he quietly returned to his lab, humming an old Earth song. She realized, with a mixture of admiration and fear, that she had never truly known the man at all. In the vast darkness of space, humanity's reputation began to shift. They were no longer seen as weak refugees fleeing their dying worlds. They were something far more terrifying. A species that turned knowledge into a weapon and wore their predatory nature behind the mask of a smile. And in the depths of space, other species began to whisper a new truth. Never trust a human who smiles when challenged to a fight. That smile meant you had already lost. You just didn't know it yet.